I remember I really wanted this property. I was like, nah, we got to make this work somehow. Yeah. And that was a major factor with this property having low rents. We knew that we could add a lot of value just by renovating and then being able to increase the rents. That sounds so bad, but like,
you gotta do what you gotta do. It's part of business.
Yeah, like we make sure if we wouldn't live there, we wouldn't rent it out to someone.
Exactly. In the current condition that we had purchased the building in, neither one of us would live there.
No, not at all. Not at all. Welcome back to the Investor Unite podcast, where we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship.
If you are looking to ignite your real estate investing, then join us on Investors Unite. And on today's podcast, we have a special banger for you. Mm-hmm. This one, we are actually going to do a deep dive on the most recent apartment building that we have purchased. So far, our biggest to date as well.
Yeah.
So before this, it was a 5-unit, and this building that we'll be discussing is a 6-unit. So moving up, slowly but surely. It's definitely a good step in the right direction.
And you guys, everyone wants to know like how we basically got paid to buy this 6-unit apartment building.
Yeah.
Close to $4,000 basically.
Yeah, I saw you had made your post on Instagram. Like we went through and did like the recording of the closing and recording of the building and like a bunch of clips you put together. And I went through your comments. You had a good amount of comments under there. It's like 60 almost.
Yeah.
And the most common question asked is, how are you buying these buildings, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely go over that. We'll tell you guys, even though, we've discussed it in the past how we've done it previously.
Yeah, but for the new listeners, but also every story is always different too.
Yeah, I think we're just about at 1,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Smash the like button.
Yeah.
You guys did kill it a couple videos ago. We got the 20 likes that we were looking for. So we'll be discussing something later on in the video that we promised.
Yeah. And no one talks about.
Yeah.
It's a strategy we use. That's really good.
Another buying strategy, which we didn't use on the 6-unit building, but we'll get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So starting out.
How did we get this 6-unit apartment building?
Right. So this one has been in our pipeline for quite some time, actually.
I think it's been a full year. Honestly.
Yeah.
So one of our callers got this lead from cold calling. Guys, don't sleep on cold calling. It definitely helps for sure. So we've been following up with this lead for quite some time. And I believe, so we got the lead last year, following up. He wasn't ready at that time. I don't think.
Well, so this is a partnership who owns this building. It's between
him and his cousin.
Right. I believe his cousin did not want to sell yet, but he was pretty much ready to sell.
Right.
So obviously you need both parties to agree on a sale in order to make that happen, and he just wasn't quite ready yet.
Yep. So I know I continue to follow up with him for quite some time. We eventually, I want to say, set an appointment. When was it? February or March of this year?
Yeah.
Or April. It may have been April of this year. I think it was April. We set the appointment. We went on it, walked all the units. Everything was great. And we're like, we want this. And we liked that it was 6 units, all brick, perfect building to have to, keep in our portfolio. But the price he wanted was $350,000 at that time.
$350,000, which for a 6-unit apartment building, it's not a bad deal. It's well under $100 a door. It's not bad. But considering what the rents on this property were at the time, the condition of this property, and the location of this property, that price was just a little bit too high for us.
Right, and the rents range between $600 to $700. So really low. The units consist of 4 1-bedrooms and 2 2-bedrooms.
Yep.
What else information am I missing? It's not all fully remodeled. Like there needs some.
Yeah, no, they all need a good amount of TLC. Just specifically, I would say the kitchens, they probably need the most work done to them. So we're going to go through, get all new cabinetry. As far as like bathrooms, the bathrooms are okay. He has fairly new vanities in there. Just clean up, flooring, paint, a lot of cosmetic.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. All the major things have been taken care of.
Right.
And at that time, the property was attached to another property.
It was. So
right?
It was semi-detached. This is an end unit.
Yeah, because I remember when we walked that 6-unit, and then the seller was like, take a look at this property, like open the door. And we looked in, and the whole, like, you could see the basement all the way to the 3rd floor. It was all knocked down. If you live in Harrisburg, those city houses where it's just, You see the basement to the ceiling.
Right, and that's pretty much every city, I'm guessing. Like, we've been in Philly where we've seen situations like that, and I'm sure, like, Chicago and a bunch of those larger metros, they all have houses that are just fully dilapidated.
Yep.
Which, that's a project that it takes a special investor to tackle, which
Most definitely.
I don't think we have the time or energy to do that at the moment.
And that didn't really bother us. We were just like kind of amazed of looking at that.
Yeah, we're like, I mean, it sucks that it is attached to this building, but, you know, it might affect the property value a little bit with having a higher cap rate, possibly when it comes time for the appraisal. And the area itself, just the location of this, I mean, we have houses all throughout Harrisburg. We're not too picky about where they are, but this one specifically is in a little bit of a rougher area. At least it was, you know, a year ago, right? Or close to a year ago. But some things have changed since then with the area.
But when we were running numbers, like after we saw it, after we went on the appointment, like that same day or the day after we ran numbers, we went through our pro forma. We're like, the price we need to be at, I want to say it was like 280. Was it 280?
Close, 275.
275. Yeah. And that seller was not taking it. And we just had to take into consideration the cap rate, just because of the area wasn't.
What would you say the cap rate was at that time?
I think we put it at like a 12 or 13 maybe.
Yeah, I would say between 12 and 14, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And then now it's getting up there just because there's new construction around.
Right. And all cap rate really determines, like, so in cap rates, the way that works is the lower the cap rate, the more desirable the building, right? The more somebody is willing to, this is going to sound like completely backwards, but the lower the cap rates, the lower of a return they're willing to accept just because it might be in a B or A class area, A or B class. Once you move into that C and D class, that's when the cap rates tend to go up, which your return on that building will be definitely higher, but the headaches come along being higher as well just because of that poor location.
And the appreciation isn't as high. So it's more of a cash flow
Exactly.
market.
It's more of a cash flow market. Appreciation, not something you're going to really expect.
Right.
In the short term, at least. In the long term, everything goes up.
Yep. So, you know, with that story, back in April, made the offer of that 270, 275 mark. He was like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to hold on to it, since he was like, I don't mind renting it out, but even though I do want to sell, I'm just going to wait till I get that. Yeah, he wasn't desperate at all. So what we did do, which was amazing, we did not delete that lead from our CRM.
Yeah.
We just continued to, because I remember I really wanted this property. I was like, nah, we got to make this work somehow. Yeah. And not like emotionally attached to the property. It was just like,
there's potential.
It was like, yeah, I saw potential. Yeah. And I loved that it was brick because I wanted to paint it. Yep. So I kept it in the follow-up, continued to follow up with this guy probably every month or every 2 months. And then we were working on another deal. And out of nowhere, I was just thinking about that 6 unit. I was like, so let's rerun numbers on this.
I was going to say, what triggered you to go back and rerun numbers is the way that we were looking to finance this other deal, which is the one that we're actually might be discussing towards the end here. It was a completely new strategy of going through and getting the money for this deal. And we just wanted to see if that strategy would work with this building with the current rents where they were. Right.
Yep. So reran numbers, and turns out, I don't even know if we ran it we may have ran it on that strategy once, and then we were like, no, it doesn't work out. And then we ran it a different way, because at this time, back in April, the interest rates were around that 9% or so for commercial.
Yeah.
But now they went lower. So once the interest rates change, everything kind of changes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Just qualifying for like that DSCR loan, you have to have that 1.2 ratio. So you need to make sure that with having that lower interest rate, it will obviously lower your monthly payment, which then hopefully your rent's exceeded enough to be able to qualify.
Yep.
Per se.
So what we did, we were like, let's get creative, because we got to make this work somehow.
Yeah, you really wanted this one.
Yeah. So we were like, I hopped on the phone with the seller multiple times, and I was like, is there any way you guys would be open to seller financing?
Right.
And
not quite seller. Well,
it was a hybrid. It was
a hybrid,
because he had a mortgage on it. So we talked about seller financing. We talked about subject to, which you're basically taking over the seller's mortgage. That's what sub 2 is. And he got to that point. And the numbers, we kept going back and forth with negotiations. Right. We came to that 362.
So he still wanted that 350 number.
He still wanted
like,
that.
You know, since we really want to be able to make this work, we want to be able to get the subject to with the seller financing on top of it and have a very small amount of money down into the deal, which actually it's not that small of an amount that we had discussed. But either way,
yeah, because we said we put down 20%.
20% of 350.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then we were like, well, if we offer them a little bit more, like I think we came in at 355 initially. So we're like, we're giving you $5,000 more than you want, but you know, these are the terms that we would need for that.
Yep.
And then I think he came back and countered at like, was it 365, 362? How did we?
I believe it was 362. We had 0% interest. Our monthly payment was $2,000, I believe.
Yeah, that would be going straight to the principal.
Yep, straight to the principal, and then
a 1 year term.
A 1 year term, because we were going to refinance out, and that would give us enough time there. Yeah, I think that was all with that. He accepted that. We moved forward, and at this time, guys, we did not reach out to a private money lender. Like we don't really think about that. We just find
get the deal like, you know, together first, and then we can actually take that package to a private money lender, present it to them, be like, hey, this is the situation. You know, are you able to help us out here?
Yeah, and you also want to make sure you have private money lenders in your back pocket. You can't just have one go-to. Like, it's good to have one go-to, but not all lenders are going to lend on a 6-unit commercial building. Some may not even do commercial in general. They may just do residential. So we reached out to another lender of ours. Shout out to SPG Capital. If you guys want to connect with them, he actually was on our podcast, Ryan Schaefer. We'll make sure to actually just go to that podcast. All his information's down below. Let him know we sent you. Yeah, that was a good podcast.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure. What was I saying?
So we switched up lenders. You were just saying not to only stick with the one.
Because he said, so Ryan actually came back to us and he was like, he didn't want to be in second position.
Right, and that's something you'll find with a lot of private money lenders.
Yeah.
And our other guy, Sam, he says the same thing all the time. And even if you talk to like a federal credit union, they'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
No one wants to be in second position, right? Because it just adds a sense of risk.
Yep, but he was like, you guys might as well just purchase it cash and just do a straight cash offer instead of doing it this way. And we came back, we were running numbers. We were like, oh, but what about our cash flow? It's just going to take a hit on our cash flow a little bit. But as we were going back and forth, it turns out it works out doing a cash offer.
It does still work out, right? And the main reason, not the main reason, but one of the reasons that we wanted to do the hybrid deal was because that $2,000 a month paying down the principal.
Yep.
So I forget the exact numbers we came to, like 20% down roughly. And then that $2,000 a month. So over that period of the next year,
that's $24,000.
$24,000 off of the purchase price,
yeah.
right? With us not having to bring the full amount to the table, as well as, well, actually, he would be still making just his mortgage payments. Well, he would keep the I forget how we had it set up, but pretty much we'd be paying the amount of his mortgage plus $2,000 principal.
Yeah. And the only thing in our interest payment with our private money lender would have been lower because we would have just been needing financing for the down payment plus rehab, but still it would have been like $140,000 of what we needed instead of us needing, I think our loan amount is
$425,000.
Yeah, $425,000. Yep. So you guys can see the difference with that. But turns out it worked out as a cash offer. So we were like, after we went under contract, because we got our title company to write up a seller financing agreement plus the sub 2, and then we went back and said, nope, we're just gonna purchase it straight cash, which is funny, just going back and forth, but it worked out.
Yeah, we did. We went through a whole bunch of hurdles that we could have skipped, but either way, that would have helped us a little bit in the end.
Yep.
We can still get it done though.
Yeah, so it all worked out in regards to that, and you had something you want to say?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
So, right. So previously when we ran these numbers, we ran it at between a 12 and a 14 cap. And that was based off the location, based off of the environment, just how everything was currently set up. Now, as we went to go revisit, we noticed that the property that was attached to ours had been demolished. So the city tore that all down, then put brand new siding on this building, the one that we had purchased.
Right.
So that was a bonus, as well as directly across the streets, they tore down the entire row of houses, or several rows of houses on both sides of the street, put all brand new construction. So all brand new townhouses. So right. So that just kind of shows you what direction this area is leaning towards. And that's something that obviously we want to be a part of. If they're having new construction, they're bringing in a new crowd of people, You might have some better tenants in the area. You're going to have higher price housing, which, you know, every piece of that just adds to our property value going up.
Right. Definitely.
Pro forma.
And we also, like, guys, if you have any multifamilies with low rents, you don't like the tenants or stuff like that, let us know. Like, we're open to purchasing. And that was a major factor with this property having low rents. We knew that we could add a lot of value just by renovating and then being able to increase the rents. That sounds so bad, but like,
you gotta do what you gotta do. It's part of business.
Yeah, like, we make sure if we wouldn't live there, we wouldn't rent it out to someone.
Exactly. In the current condition that we had purchased the building in, neither one of us would live there.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I come out of there itching. Like, I just get the itch.
Right. And so the cap rate previously, like I said, was 12 to 14. After all this new construction and everything, we estimated it to be closer to 10.
Yep.
So that just increases the valuation of the building as a whole, which then we will still be able to produce enough cash flow at that point to, well, the bonus actually of having the higher price building is that we're able to do a full cash out, you know, getting the proper
and we get to choose basically what our LTV is. So it's like, do we want more of a cash out where we can take money out tax free, or do we want more of a higher more of a higher cash flow?
Right.
Like, it just depends what we're wanting at the time. And it's nice that you can choose. With us purchasing this property at $362,000, and we actually forgot we purchased it. Yeah, so we purchased we went under contract with the seller with our wholesaling company, and we wholesaled it to our rental company so that our wholesale company can also make a fee of $7,000.
Right. So we went under contract for $355 after we told them, like, we had the whole deal set up at $362, but that was for the hybrid deal. Once we came back and told them, like, listen, we're going to save you a lot of headache here. We're actually just going to buy the building all cash. You know, how much lower can you go? He only dropped it down to $355 from $362, which, you know, it is what it is, right? If we would have just came in with the $350 and did cash, we could have made it a couple extra bucks. Doesn't matter though. And like you said, we did go ahead and wholesale that to our rentals company.
Yep.
So we were able to make, you know, $7,000, and that gives us enough money to, you know, put some money in the company, pay ourselves a little bit, and then also be able to put money into the deal just so that we're able to start releasing those draws from our private money lender and just continue that work on the building.
Yep. So after that, I think we touched basically on all. Oh, I was saying, so we purchased it for $362, and it's projected to be worth $627,000.
Right. So the 2 bedrooms that are currently around $700 a month are going to be at $1,250 each.
Yep.
And all the 1 bedrooms will have at $1,100, which is the going rate in that area. And that is also what we have our other 1 and 2 bedroom properties at.
Yeah.
Right in Harrisburg.
And how we came about that, like, you guys can literally go on Zillow, look up the rental comps, but also with us having another 2 unit, we also have a single family within that area.
5 unit.
And well, not in that area though.
That's more uptown.
Yeah. We kind of know what the going rate is for rent.
Yep.
But yeah, so everything went kind of smooth with that, with closing. We did not know at this time that we were going to get a check at closing. So I'm just like, my head is in 20 different directions with, you know, all that we have going on. So I'm over here thinking we have to bring a check to closing. Like, we have to pay $3,000. What is it? Because I have the HUD.
$3,900 something.
$3,948.08. So I pull up to the bank, I think a couple hours before closing, and I get a cashier's check and everything. And then we pull up there to title, and I was like, yep, I got the check for you. He's like, you got a check?
He's like, I got the check for you.
I got a check for you. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. So he pulled out the HUD, and he was like, yeah, here you go. I was like, oh, shoot. So we got our money. We got that.
I'm not exactly sure how that worked, to be honest.
Yeah, the grace of God.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yes.
I ain't going to complain about that.
So we literally got a check. And our EMD. What was our EMD on this? I think it was $100.
Yeah.
Let me see. Deposit $100.
Right. So realistically, we got paid almost $4,000 to buy this building.
Yeah, it's literally insane.
Yeah. So talk about people buying properties with $0. How about getting paid to buy the building?
Literally.
That's pretty crazy.
And it happened. So it's truly a blessing. And for the rehab budget, we set aside $40,000. Do I think we're gonna make it? I don't know. Just because of
it'll be a little tight.
What we want, like. But we have money set aside in reserves. so we're gonna be chilling.
We do.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but you know, definitely enough to make sure
We're chilling. We're
yeah,
chilling.
our butts covered on this.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we have really good contractors, so we're gonna squeeze it as much as possible. I think we can do it.
Right.
That's a little challenge right there.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the number side of it. Realistically, so if you do the math on that, the 2,500 plus 4,400 brings it out to 6,900 a month in gross rental income. And then we're also going to be billing back for some utilities. The gas meters, so
They're all separate.
it's all completely separately metered, gas and electric, but he doesn't have the gas meters hooked up currently. He's just doing electric baseboard heating, which
They're hooked up. They're ready. He just didn't start with them because they were there before.
Right. Yeah. No, it's all ready to go.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation we'll have to have whether or not we want to leave it as the electric baseboard or if we want to hook up the gas. And I don't know. We'll see what the cost difference would be for that.
Yep.
Either way, it's covered by the tenants, so it doesn't really matter for us.
Right.
But obviously, we want the tenants to pay the lowest amount possible. Yeah. And then with so valuation of the building, 627 at 70% LTV. What is that?
I don't know.
Is 184. 627 minus 1. Oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, sometimes we'll do 70% LTV, sometimes we'll do 75. It just honestly all depends.
Right. So at 70% of, I did that math wrong. But anyways, at 70% of 627,000, it would come to $438,900, which we only owe 425. So 438.9 minus a refi fee, and it's a commercial building, so the refis typically tend to be a little bit higher. That still gives us roughly $14,000 of room just in case the refi fee ends up being that much.
Yeah.
And as you guys know from previous podcasts, our refi fee on the 5-unit building came to $29,000.
Yeah, but that was because we used a mortgage broker, and we learned that mistake.
We used the wrong company for that.
Yeah. But let's talk about what recently happened.
Yeah.
So, guys, whenever you buy an apartment building and you are inheriting tenants, you got to let them know that you're the new owners, right?
Yep.
So I had letters written, typed up letters and stuff. So Skyler, literally, it was the same day, right? You stopped by? Yeah, it was the same day because we met with Raphael, yeah. So we met with our contractor right after just to show him the property right after closing. I gave Skyler the letters, so all the tenants, they didn't answer the door, so we left it in their mailbox and everything like that. Just introducing ourselves as the new landlords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our contact information, how you can expect to pay rent. And guys, just so you know, everyone's on a month-to-month basis. It's all month-to-month. So
yeah, no, the last time they had a lease, they had a year lease previously, but that expired back in 2022 for just about all of them. Was the last time they had a lease. So from that expiration, obviously, it just goes from month to month after that.
yeah.
And same thing for any tenants that you were putting in a building. If you have a yearly lease, after that 1 year is up, it just goes month to month unless you renew the full year lease.
Right.
Yeah.
So my idea with this was do 3 units at a time, turn 3 at a time, because our contractors can move pretty fast. So if we do 3 at a time, we can still get done within our 8 to 10 month time frame.
Right. We do still have holding costs on this building, obviously, just paying that private money lender his interest every month.
But your idea was...
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there. So our idea at first was to take out the 3, right? So 3. We were going to do the 2 beds first, along with one of the 1 bedrooms, just whichever one was in need of most repair.
Right.
Right. And that way, the other 3 units would still be paying us a little bit, and that wouldn't fully cover our monthly expense to our private money lender.
But it would help our butt a little bit.
It would pay at least half of it,
Yeah.
or close to half of it, roughly. And I got this idea. I was like, well, we have some money in the account. We also just received $4,000 at closing, which is just about our monthly payment on this building. So I was like, what if we decide to actually evict everybody? Not evict, but ask everybody to leave and tell them that
not
we're
evict,
no longer,
yeah.
we're
Evict
no longer
sounds like a bad term.
not evict, but
it's
we're
just
not
their
going
lease is
to
up.
renew their lease.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, exactly. And this way, I think it would just be more fair to everybody because it's not like you're being biased to 3 parties, but not the other 3. And I'm sure once the other 3 saw that those 3 got evicted, they probably knew that
Because they
they
all
would be
talk
coming
amongst
next.
each other.
They all talk, they all know each other. You know, they've been in the building for quite a while together, some longer than others. And they probably just wouldn't even pay us at that point because they're like, we know we're going to be evicted, so why would we even pay you, right? So I was like, let's just knock out the entire building at once where, you know, don't be biased, get everybody out the building, go through, do a complete rehab, let our contractor have full control, you know, get in there, do as much as you can, and as quick as a period as you can, and then we can get it re-rented out for market value.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't go that smoothly.
Yeah, so I already had that agreement set aside from our, introduction letter. So I had that ready for like the 3 because I thought that's what we were doing up front. But as we were driving over, you're like, I have this idea. And I was like, okay, well, then let's not give the 3 letters out yet. So you did it a couple days later, but you want to explain what that Oh, well, before that, the seller actually called me the day of closing. Super sweet. Yeah. He's amazing. He actually gave,
shout out Carlos.
Yeah, he gave all his tenants $100 just because he felt bad. So super sweet. Because he didn't really let the tenants know that he was
selling the building.
But we told him like we would make the introduction and everything like that, which we did. And the tenants were like just yelling at him. They were mad, like, about selling and stuff like that day.
Yeah.
Fast forward to was it Monday? Sunday.
No.
It was Sunday.
You
dropped off the letters Sunday. You picked them up from my house. You dropped them off Sunday.
And I didn't go back until Monday.
Monday, yeah, you went back.
Right. So on these letters, very summarized version is, hey, thank you for being a tenant of ours. Just letting you guys know, we're not going to be renewing your lease, and we're expecting you to be out of the premises by November 30th, right?
And yeah, this is the worst part. Like, this is my least favorite part of the business.
Yeah.
But in the state of PA, you have to give a 30-day notice if you're not.
We thought it was 30 days.
Well, typically, it's 30 days, but we gave like a 42-day notice.
We gave a 42-day notice, and then I looked up the law, and this is going to come up a little bit deeper in the story here, but I found somewhere, I need to go through and just re-verify, but then it said 15 days, which I was like,
I don't know if that's
absolutely
true.
Ridiculous, and that shouldn't be true.
Are you sure that's true?
Not 100%, don't take my word for it.
Someone fact check that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it now.
No.
Not worth
Comment down below, fact check that.
Yeah. So on the bottom of these...
Oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Okay, so on the bottom of these letters, I noticed that on the back page it had my Google Voice number, which for some reason just has not been working right. I don't know why. Yeah. So I went ahead and I wrote, please sign here, put an X with a line, and then I also said, please feel free to contact me, and I put my personal cell phone number on there. Like, this is my number. If you seriously have any issues or whatever the situation may be, please feel free to give me a call. If not, then, we're good to go.
Yeah.
I asked them to take a picture of that and send it back to me just as evidence that these letters were dropped off. And
plus you did a video.
I did a video of me literally taking these letters and putting them in each one of their doors just as like true evidence. And we've been through the court process before, the eviction process, and we just want to make sure that we have all of our
ducks in a row.
Yes, all of our ducks in a row.
Yeah.
So just trying to tie up every loose end possible.
And that was Sunday. And then the tenants still wanted to meet, well,
they did.
You typically handle the tenant side of the business with like the rental, so wanted to meet you.
Yeah, so the tenants wanted to meet. I was like, I have no issue with that. They didn't reach out to us though. They reached out to Carlos.
Yeah.
The previous landlord for them, which, it's kind of annoying just because I did leave my personal cell phone number there. I'm like, if you really need me, please don't go through him. He just sold the building. He wants this to be a done deal pretty much. Like, he doesn't want to have to deal with the tenants once again, even after he sells the property. But they still called him and said, I want to meet the new landlord, which, not a big deal at all. And I was waiting for any kind of text message, any kind of picture to come through of the letters I dropped off, hoping that they would have signed it.
Yeah.
Never got anything. Right. So I was like, well, let me go over there.
It was end of the workday Monday. So I think we left the office around 5 or so, around that time. Yeah,
it was around 5.
It was around 5. And then What happened?
So from there, I went home and just dropped off my other work bag.
Oh yeah, because
then-
I went home and I did probates. I was doing my probates, and
did?
then you went over at like around 7, because I remember
No.
it was earlier.
Oh my God, it was like 5:30 I was there. You have no idea how long I was there for.
Oh,
it was
shit.
ridiculous. Yeah, so I told my sister, because my sister just coincidentally happened to be
I'm
home.
kind of glad she was there.
Maybe a little. It might have
Shout
helped
out
out.
to Anna.
It might have helped out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's funny. Right afterwards, she was like, "I'm never doing this with you again."
Oh no.
Yeah. So I asked my sister. I was like, "Hey, like, you want to come
Yeah.
meet these tenants with me?" And she was like, "Sure, I guess." And she doesn't know any better.
That's the funniest thing.
So I drag her ass along and pull up there, knock on the door, meet the first lady. By the way, not that this has much to do with anything, but 4 of the 6 tenants are from Nigeria.
Aren't they all?
The other 2, I think they said were Hispanic, but I didn't.
No, I think they're all.
I haven't met the other 2 yet. I still don't know.
Yeah.
They might be all from Nigeria. I'm not
Yeah.
too sure. Extremely strong accent, kind of difficult to understand, at least a majority of them.
The seller even says like, I honestly don't know what
And
they're saying.
he's got a strong Spanish accent.
Right.
Yeah. So it was difficult to communicate, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
But knocked on the front door of the one unit, and she was like, "Yeah, like, come on in. You know, nice to meet you." And we sat down. Steph, when I tell you,
Was this the front door?
yeah,
Yeah.
when I tell you, like, I didn't get a single word in for at least 20 minutes. I sat on the couch, and she is in my ear, rambling, hitting me like over and over, like,
Yeah.
"This letter is too harsh. This letter is too harsh." And like, I'm sorry, like, let's walk through it. You know, have
Yeah.
a civil conversation here. Not possible. Not even close to possible.
Oh, I know.
I sat there, like, she's on this side, so we're on the couch. It's her, me, my sister. She is just in my ear, like, loud, and just going off, and I'm, like, understanding half of what she's saying, and I'm just looking at Anna, like, half the time, like, dude, like, I'm sorry. I didn't even make you sit through this.
That's funny.
But, yeah, so I tried to have, you know, a good conversation with her. It was not going according to plan whatsoever. So she called down one of the other tenants, which was a big...
She's like, back up, come here now.
Literally. It was like this big Nigerian guy. So he walks in, and they're just both, like, pretty much just, like, laughing at me. Like,
But talking in their language. Were they talking in their language too at that
they're
time?
doing both.
Yeah.
Their language and English.
Yeah.
Somewhat English. Broken English. And this is not going anywhere, right? So it gets to the point where they don't believe I'm even the landlord at this point in this stage.
And it's funny because I think at that same exact time, is that when you called me? Or you texted me
So I texted you first.
for the lease agreement. Or not the lease agreement. Was it the lease?
I did. I texted you first for their lease agreement because they were trying to tell me, like, their lease is still good. They're on a year base. She doesn't have to be out till January, if anything. I'm just like, okay, if that's the case, let me ask for a copy of it, right? So you send me over the lease agreement. I go and show her.
Yep.
And then she just goes back to, this letter's too harsh. You're not the landlord. You don't know what you're doing.
And
You don't know how things work in America. I'm just like, dude, I've lived in Harrisburg my entire life. You've been here for a year. Like, how are you going to tell me what the law is?
And it's funny because literally at that same exact time you text me, I was on the phone with the seller because we have a good time talking. So we'll just chat it up, you know, talk about real estate and stuff.
Because I'm getting screamed at.
Yeah. So we were just chatting and I was like, hey, Skyler's actually calling. Is it cool if I just add him in the call? And then I added you in and then you were like, yo, Carlos, like, they don't believe we bought this building, that you sold it to us. Can you tell?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah. Anyways, Carlos hops on the phone and he's talking to the tenant. And then after like 10 minutes of him talking to the tenant, she was like, who are you? Like, to Carlos. And Carlos was like, it's Carlos.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I don't believe it. And then he was like, it's Juan Carlos.
Yeah.
Like, you know who I am, right? And she was like, Carlos, how could you do this to us? She was like,
she was
heated.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Carlos talks to her for a solid 15 minutes probably.
And then after, like, we're still on through it. He was like, I really just don't understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
And
I tried to explain it to him, like, listen, like, this is the issue that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
You know, I gave him a notice that we're not going to renew their lease. She does not believe me. She said she's not going to continue paying rent, which I then told her, I don't care about
It's
the
fine.
money.
Yeah.
Don't pay me.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I just need you guys out of the building by this date, right? And then, the guy takes over. He's talking to Carlos, and he's not putting up with it either, like whatsoever. I forget the exact details of their conversation. But at some point, he was like, you sold building to little boy. And
he said, this is a oh, I shouldn't do that.
No, I keep doing it too. Just
I'm sorry.
It's so natural, though. Like, honestly. Like,
Yo, I'm Nigerian. I'm not going to lie.
You're not. Oh, yeah.
I am.
Okay, cool.
I did DNA test.
Either way.
Okay, wait, that sounds bad. That sounds so
Dude, you're black. You can do it. Like, if I do it, it's a little more fucked up, and I'll still do it.
Yo, okay, so he just kept saying Skyler's a little man.
Yeah, he kept saying the little boy. It's like, he's trying to tell me you bought the building. I'm just like, I'm sitting there like this. Like, just like looking at him. Like,
wait, they're going to come for us in the comments.
I don't care.
They kept saying he's a little man. Like, he's a little man.
I'm just sitting on the couch next to like his neighbor, just like, and she's over here still screaming in my ear as he's like calling me a little boy to Carlos, and I'm just sitting there just taking everything. I'm like, all right, guys.
And then your sister just
my sister's just like looking around like she did not know what was going on.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And then we ended that conversation. You hung up.
Right, because I was like,
you're like, I'm sorry about this, Carlos.
Yeah, I just felt bad for Carlos.
I felt bad too.
So I was like, you've already sold the property to us. This is really our responsibility to handle from this point. But
yeah.
I just need them to understand, like, we are the owners of this building, and you were already on the phone with them, so it made it super easy.
Yeah, so we hung up with you, and then we were just talking about more like multifamily deals and stuff, just chatting it up. And then we hung up, and then I called you like, hey, yo, is everything all good? Like, are you still there? You're like, I just hear the yelling in the background. It just gets like, you're not yelling. They're yelling in the background so loud. I was like, yo, do you need me there? Because I remember you said this guy called me his enemy.
He did. He was like, because I was like, let me try to help you find another house to move into, right? I want, like, what's your budget? What are you looking for? What area are you looking for? So I go through, I'm looking at all these different Zillow, all the different apps, Realtor. And, I find them several options. And he was like, I'm not going to be looking at houses from my enemy. I was like, enemy? I was like, you think I'm your enemy? He was like, you are my enemy. I was like, okay, I'll be your enemy. Like, whatever.
Yeah, but like you took it as a joke, but you can't.
Oh, he wasn't joking.
I know. Like,
he was dead ass.
You could tell like some people just don't play. Like they're serious. And then I remember on the phone, you were like, oh, they're getting more people's coming.
Yeah.
I was like,
they started
shoot.
calling down like everybody. I was like, I don't even know if these are people that live in this building. Like, he's just calling people to come here now. It's like just me and my sister. We're just sitting in this room just full of Nigerians all over the place.
All black people. They're the only white people
I was
there.
like, guys, like, this is great.
And with you saying like them calling for backup, I'm like, oh shoot, he's about to get jumped or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You're in Harrisburg City, guys. Like, I'm like, do you need me to come? Do you need me to come?
Anyone who knows Harrisburg, we're on the hill.
Yeah. And you're like, nah. Like trying to play it cool. I was like, nah, okay, I'm coming. So my mom was like, because she heard the conversation, she's like, do you need me to? Do you need me to? Yeah, she just got out the hospital too. I was like, what are you?
You kept telling me like, do you need me to come? Do you need me to come? I'm just like, no. Like, I'm a big man. I'm a big boy. I can handle this.
So I was like, all right, mom, I'm going.
I'm there for like 3 hours already at this point by the time you're on the phone.
And it's dark. Like it's dark.
It's pitch black out.
I'm like, oh shoot. So I make sure to have my pepper spray. I make sure like I know how to use my pepper spray just in case. Just in case a fight breaks out or something.
Thankfully, you've never had to use it before.
Yeah, thank God. Knock on wood, I never have to use it. But yeah, I pull up and I'm calling you, and you're not answering. Once I'm there at the property, I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know if they did something to him or something. That's what was going on in my head.
Yeah.
And then all I hear is, I just hear all this yelling.
You just open the door, don't you?
No, I do a little knock, and then the one lady opens the door and then kind of like pushes me back and tries to shut the door. I was like, no, I'm with him. I also own this property.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, come in. So I come in and then all this yelling and man, I see your sister just on the couch. This is a small area too. We're in a little crowded.
You see the size of this carpet right here?
Living room.
This is the size of the entire room. Like,
yeah.
We're touching shoulders with everybody at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so
they're like, who are you? And then I was like, I'm Stephanie, explain myself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she was basically saying, this is wrong. You guys can't do this. Blah, 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 just going on and off. My lease isn't up. where are we gonna go? And
then she starts re-questioning, like, you guys don't own the building. We're like,
Yeah,
yes, we do. She kept bringing that up. We're like, dude, we own the fucking building. And if this is how the conversation is gonna go, like, I'm just about to leave. Right? And the entire time, my sister was like, we should just go. Like, well, let's just go. Let's just go. I'm like, no. I got to figure this out, right? Let me just have a reasonable conversation with these people. And she was like, they're not speaking reason. Like, there's no reason.
It wasn't speaking at all. It was all yelling on their side.
Yeah.
And I told them, like, we don't want them homeless. Like, we want to make sure they have a solid place to go. We're not just going to leave people on the street. So what we did, I was like, let's call up Katrina, our caseworker we work with. She helps with a lot of like rentals and stuff like
Tenant
that.
placement. Yeah.
Tenant placement. So I called her up. She was like, give me this. Tell them to text me this, and this. All their information. And I was like, okay, got it. She was like, all right, I can find them a place before, your time frame of when they need to be out. So I'm trying to explain the process. I'm talking slow and steady. They're just like it just going. I'm like, you guys want to find a place? We're trying to help you to the best of our ability. I want to make sure you have housing over your head. Can you all get out your phones and text this number?
And I'm already frustrated because I've been there for several hours before you showed up. You're there trying to talk to them, and then they can be disrespectful to me. That's something I can handle. I don't care. As soon as they started disrespecting you, that like triggered a switch in me. I was like, I stood up. I was like, all right, like, listen up.
She started getting mad at you then?
Dude, I was like, y'all are being so rude and disrespectful right now. Like, I raised my voice, which I never do. Like, it's really rare for me to do that. And I was just fed up. I was like, I told him, I was like, you want to be rude to me? Fine. I was like, she's trying to help you not be homeless. If you don't want to listen to her, then I'm going to scream at you, okay? Scream at me all you want. I'm not having that.
Yeah, it was something. But yeah, they were going back and forth.
Eventually, they started listening. Yeah.
They got their phones out, started typing, and then I'm over here seeing the time. It's almost 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh, it's almost my bedtime. Like, so they're still yelling. I said something I looked at Anna. I was like, it's time to go. I'm over here itching now. Like, I'm getting the itch.
Stephanie, not Steph. Anna told me that.
Yeah.
It was like, Stephanie said she was itchy. I was like, she gets like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I look at my phone. All right, guys. Well, make sure you guys text her. We got to go. If you guys need anything, text Skyler. That's it.
Yeah. So we made sure, like, they all got the number that you had relayed to them, Katrina's number.
Yeah.
Like, please just shoot
Thank
her.
you, Katrina. Shout out to Katrina.
Yeah. I hope she watches any of these because, like, we call her out so much.
Yeah, we love Katrina.
Oh, no, she is amazing. Life would be harder without her.
Yeah.
Definitely. And eventually, we finally just wrap it up and we leave, right? And then the next day I follow up with Katrina. I'm like, hey, has any of my new tenants reached out to you, like looking to find a new place? And she was like, no, nobody texted me. It's like, all right, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. And it's actually funny because we had our contractor go out to the property. It was actually before Skyler
Before I
did.
even went there, yeah.
And the tenants came out to Raphael, just yelling at him, why do you give me this letter?
We're not moving out. Like, all right.
Raphael was like, I don't even own this property.
Yeah.
So it's funny how he kind of gets
Raphael
involved.
deals with a lot of our tenants.
He does,
He gets a lot of their shit.
Or sometimes like calls from them and it's something.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's currently where we stand with this property. 2 of them I still haven't ever met or spoken to.
Yeah.
4 of them, they think I'm the enemy, right?
Yeah.
And
I think they liked me though, kinda.
I think so.
I think just because the dynamic. So this is why partnerships and our partnership is actually really well.
Like black and black. Cool.
Yeah. So like when I came in, they kind of were more open to listen to me.
Yeah.
Compared
they just saw
to
me as like a white American. They're just like, oh, fuck this kid.
Yeah.
I gotta listen to him.
So that's where you have to take. It's so bad. Like we have to think about that, but you have to take that into consideration.
True,
yeah. And vice versa. If we went out to
hillbilly land.
I
got it.
Right. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. We'll keep you guys posted with the process. That was the first time we had to deal with tenants like that. Like when we inherited tenants for our 5-unit
and
and
usually get gangbang like that.
Our other stuff.
Everybody.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was quite the experience. Looking back on it, it was kind of funny. And like even after I was leaving, I was like,
I don't want to say. I think I told you, but I don't want to say it on here.
Give me a hint.
No, it sounds so bad. It sounds bad.
right, we'll discuss it later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we'll keep you guys updated, like
Yeah.
Stefanie said. And it's also another crazy thing is that when in the beginning though, the first man that came, he was on the phone with Carlos and he was like, he's trying to take me to court. And I was like, dude, you're the one that, before we hopped on the phone with Carlos, he was like, you're going to have to take me to court. I was like, I don't want to go to court. He was like, you're going to have to take me to court. And then he hops on the phone with Carlos is like, he wants to take me to court. I'm like,
we don't want that.
What are you talking about? Just get out of my house.
Right, right. Yeah, we don't want to deal with all that. We just want it to be a smooth process. Want to make sure they have safe housing.
Yeah, like just trying to have a civil conversation with these people was
impossible.
Yeah, impossible.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
that's where we currently stand.
Gotta love tenants.
Gotta love them.
Yeah.
Definitely won't be expecting rent for the next couple months.
No, it's just 1 month.
Hopefully.
Yeah, don't be speaking negative.
All right.
Just 1 month.
Just 1 month.
Yeah.
And we can cover that. But yeah, transitioning.
Do you want to talk about it real quick?
Just real quick.
Since we're cutting it close.
If you guys stayed till the very end, first of all, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this will add some form of entertainment and value in terms of education. And now we're going to present to you our new buying strategy.
Yeah.
Or at least one that, we're in the process of doing right now. Also, another whole ass headache on the side. We're getting that figured out currently. But
it works.
It works.
Yeah.
Right. Other people have done this, but it's not frequently talked about whatsoever. I've never really heard of anybody else doing this until the one mortgage lender that came on our podcast, he told us about it off camera.
Yeah.
So what it is I'm going to say why you would use it actually, and then you can kind of do a deeper dive on like what it is and why it works. So a typical BRRRR strategy, right? And all of our main goal at the end of the day is to be able to acquire these properties for $0 or, get paid at closing. That's nice.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to do an infinite BRRRR, which I've explained many times. All it is that you're implementing a BRRRR strategy, but still being able to cash out the full amount at the very front and hopefully and then some, right? Tax-free. Now, in order to do that, most banks will only give you 70% LTV or loan to value. Some will go up to 75, and during pandemic era, some are even going up to 80, which, does not happen anymore. If you get 70, like, good job.
Right? I'm just thinking in my head of what the guy said to you.
Yeah, he's, ugh.
All right, go ahead.
Anyways, so, no, you're good. So, whenever you're buying one of these deals, you want to be all into the deal after purchasing, upfront closing cost, holding cost, rehab cost, and refinance cost. You want to be all in for under that 70% margin.
Right.
Where now we're implementing this new strategy where we get it under contract through one of our companies, and we're doing a wholesale essentially to our other company that is then qualifying for a DSCR loan. DSCR loans only require 20% down. So technically you are 80% LTV into this deal, still having $0 down or $0 into the deal, just because your wholesale fee is that 20% down payment.
You have to make sure it equals that 20% down payment.
Exactly. So you're able to buy these properties at a little bit higher of a value than you could before just implementing the BRRRR strategy. Now there are some things you basically have to make sure are all aligned properly.
Yep.
In order to qualify for a DSCR loan, you must already have income being generated through this building to qualify for the amount necessary.
Yep.
As well as you have to make sure that the house that you're purchasing appraises for the higher amount that you need, which it has to be at least 20% higher than the wholesale that, well, I don't know how to say that. The very first transaction.
Yeah, so what the property's worth in its current stance. You need to be able to do 80% LTV, and then like you have to break it down that way, like that per se, and then have that 20% of your wholesale fee cover that down payment for your 20% DSCR.
Right, exactly.
If that makes sense. I know it can get a little confusing.
Yeah, and DSCR is debt service coverage ratio. So all it is you're qualifying for the property not based off of your income, but based off of the property's income.
Yep.
So how much monthly revenue will that property generate versus what will your monthly expenditures be, mortgage included?
Yeah, and the nice thing about going, this route is you're straight to the lender where you don't have to do private money lender, then refinance out. So with us doing it this way, for example, we're working on this 2-unit. We got it for 160, and then it appraised for 215. It didn't appraise really where we wanted it to, so we may have to bring some money to the table, but for a DSCR loan, it's going to be very minimal since we're wholesaling it to ourselves.
Because if you were to buy it, for $215,000 outright, your
20% of that, what is that?
20% of 215 is 43,000.
Yeah, you would have to do it that way.
Right, 43,000 to the table plus closing cost, which 1.5% to 2% on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're all in for almost $50,000.
Yeah.
Where this way, we're all in for maybe a couple thousand if need be.
$3,000 or so, $4,000.
Exactly. So just another unique strategy that you can definitely implement to get these properties for zero or a very low amount of money down.
Yep. And yeah, like you said, make sure the property is tenant occupied because you do need to show that the property is generating income.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for hitting that 20 likes on the previous video so we can go ahead and give you that quick little tip. And hopefully, you can use it in your business and start acquiring more properties with less capital. And
comment down below, like, what guests do you guys want to see? Do you want to see more people talking about wholesaling, rentals, mortgages, anything real estate related? Let us know.
Developing land.
All that stuff.
Anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. Make sure you guys go subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.